Put us in the fight.
Good evening, my name's Nick, this is WW2 Strategy Gamer, and today we're going to go through the best WW2 strategy games on Steam. Now if you like real-time strategy games and WW2, look no further than Company of Heroes. There's not really a lot to say about this other than it's a really good real-time strategy in the WW2 setting. During the main campaign, you'll play as the Allies, or mainly the American Allies. As part of the DLC, you can actually play as the Germans, if that's your sort of thing. And has a really balanced multiplayer, so great all-round RTS. But what about the Red Army in the Eastern Front, I hear you say? Well, for that, it's Company of Heroes 2.
There is no retreat, not one step back. By Order 227, anyone who retreats will be shot on the spot, executed as a coward and a traitor.
Yeah, so the main campaign is a little bit enemy at the gates in terms of historical accuracy, but the gameplay's still there, it's still a lot of fun, and do not sleep on the DLC for this game for Ardent Assault. It's a fantastic addition.
Squad, get ready! I need cover!
So in summary, two great RTS games from the Company of Heroes franchise, but if you're Russian, you probably just want to play skirmishes and multiplayer. Probably our favourite game on this list, even though we're not supposed to have favourites, is Steel Division Normandy 44. Why do we like it so much? Well, outside of its environments, which are historically accurate and beautifully rendered, its vehicle and character models, it strikes a real nice balance between a light grand strategy, and I mean really light, and an RTS. So it has kind of elements of both, and it mixes these perfectly in terms of gameplay. At the beginning, you have to choose your battle formation, which will have different characteristics, and all those statistics are available, so you can really spend time building up the best battle troop for you. There's 3 different phases, phase A, B, and C, so some of the armour and troops may be released later that are more powerful towards the end of the battle, so you've got to work around that. On top of that, you have this system of battle points, so you can only deploy the maximum number of battle points you have, and then over time you get additional battle points. You can pause the game if you want to, you can slow things down. Effectively, the aim of the game is to make the map blue, so it's red versus blue. And you do this obviously by having more power within the blue areas and the red areas. It's just that simple. But obviously lots of strategy involved. And the best thing is that strategy seems to all be based on logic. It just all clicks, it all seems to work. It's all really obvious in terms of suppression fire and cover and all those sort of mechanics. Nothing seems like it was, pulled out of a hat. It's all well thought out. It's an incredibly well thought out strategy game. Now, Hearts of Iron 4 can absolutely be played as a World War II simulator. You can play Britain, you can wait for the German Reich to overtake France, you can join up with the Americans, you can launch D-Day and smash the Jerrys back to Jerryland. You can absolutely do that, but actually one of its strengths is a World War II what-if simulator. Like, what if the British were fascists, for example? And the best part is some of this what-if stuff you're not even in control of. So let's say you're playing as Britain, but the Soviets destroy the German Reich by 1942. What happens then? What does Russia do? And it's these fun scenarios that provides Hearts of Iron 4 with such replay value. You could literally play it forever. I think it's fair to say Commandos 2 is a bit of a Marmite game. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. The good news is it's free to try. So there's a tutorial and 2 missions that are absolutely free, and you can give those a try. And then if you find out you're one of the people that love this game, you can invest the money in it. So what makes this such a good game? What is there to love rather than hate about it? Well, it falls into the simulation strategy genre. Now it uses kind of the NATO symbols like you get in war games. But what's so great about it is the enemy positions are just intel. So the enemy might be there or they might not be there. It can be good or it can be bad intel. And when you tell your blokes to move, well, they've got to pack first, they've got to refuel, all that good stuff. So all that's taken into account. So there's a delay in orders and the intel you could have could be really bad. On top of that, you've got realistic maps, realistic weather. I mean, like I say, some people are going to absolutely love the level of detail in this game, and some people are not going to like the level of detail in this game. But you can't deny it's very good at what it aims to do. The good news is there's lots of key battles and interesting battles to buy and play. The bad news is those battles, if you brought all of them, are going to set you back £130. It's a niche war game with niche war game pricing, but obviously you don't have to buy it all at once. You can buy it chunked up in sections. We definitely fall into the love it camp, and hey, it's free to try. What's the worst that can happen?
Now on.
Welcome to Norway, officer. Let's get to the point.
Oldies but goodies, the Commandos series is played from an isometric perspective. Each commando has his own unique skills, and you have to use those skills to solve the puzzle of the level. Kind of a tactics, puzzle, strategy game all in one. With elements of stealth. Hey, if it was easy, it wouldn't be a strategy game. The game holds up remarkably well. It has documentary-style footage and some great tutorials, and that's what makes this game sort of a good gateway World War II strategy game if this is your first foray. And if you're an expert strategy gamer that's never played this game, I urge you to try it. You're going to find a lot to love in this game. Although it's not a full-blown strategy game, it deserves a place on our list. Tank Warfare, Tunisia, 1943 now, and I have to admit this game is something of a mystery to me, but I like playing it anyway. I'm not joking, I played a tutorial, I thought, oh yeah, I get what's going on here. I could play one of the main missions. I went to play one of the main missions. I was completely lost. I had no idea what to do. Just sort of clicked around, played around with it, kind of trial and error, learn by failure, I guess. And even after a couple of hours, I still really didn't know what I was doing with it, but I was having fun. And that's why it's on this list. So Tank Warfare, Tunisia, 1943. Not the easiest or the most intuitive thing to get to grips with, but there is a lot to enjoy there if you do. Now, you may be thinking that is a fantastic account of your experience with the game, but what is the game? Alright, fair enough. If you took the movement of Grand Strategy and RTS and melded them together, and a little bit of line of sight from real-world tabletop games, add some fog of war from RTS and tabletop games, and generally just meld every war game you've ever played together and every sort of element, like a bit of this and a bit of that. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of war games, really. You get this game, and that's what I'm saying. It's not the most intuitive thing to pick up and play, but a lot of the mechanics in there I think that's what makes it enjoyable, because once you know, you can get to grips with it. It feels like I could do with a paper rulebook on the side of my desk, and I might get there a lot quicker. What makes Panzer Corps so enjoyable is the fact that they've taken the hex and counter tabletop board game genre and they've stripped out everything that makes it a tabletop and a board game, and then streamlined everything else into a video game format. And what that makes is a perfectly intuitive, perfectly playable hex and counter war game on a PC. And that is simply why it is on the best strategy games on our list.
V březnu 1939 obsadilo nacistické Německo zbytky Československa. Vládcem nad vyhlášeným protektorátem Čechy a Morava se později stal Reinhard Heydrich, prominentní nacista.
So that's it for the strategy games on our list, but I'd like to make one honourable mention if I may. Now, Czechoslovakia is one of those areas of World War II where, particularly where I was educated, not a lot was taught. They always talk about appeasement. Was appeasement good or bad? And they completely ignore things like the fact that the Czech Republic produced a massive amount of steel. You had the Skoda Works, which was the largest arms manufacturer in the whole of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. You had an arms manufacturer in Czech that was supplying the world's largest military with arms. And you had a specialist, more high-quality arms manufacturer, which is where they rifled half the gear for the SS. So there's lots of sort of, I say, ignorant opinions around Czech, which is why I'd like to recommend this game, even though it's not strategy. It's a bit of a walking simulator, a bit of an investigation simulator, where you play a young man in modern day investigating why, when Czech was occupied by the Germans, why your granddad went to a concentration camp. So you're investigating all of this stuff. Now, one of the brilliant things about this is it was developed in part with the Charles University. So there's an encyclopedia attached within the game, which is obviously historically accurate because you've got access to all the records in the university and the library. So you've got a lot of historical stuff in there you may not know. Like, a lot of people don't know about well, I suppose they do a little bit. They know the fact that Czech actually partly mobilised, but you don't really appreciate like how much the people were behind that part mobilisation. The Czech people, out of any other nation, were the one people that were preparing to fight the Germans since 1919. They were ready for it. Unfortunately, Britain and France won, and they chose the cowardly way. So this is a really interesting game for a little known section of World War II. The game's in Czech but has English subtitles. It features documentary footage I promise you've never seen. In there as well, you've got sort of modern video, and the past is, when you're playing the actual game, is kind of like a black and white graphic novel. Very cool style, lots of fun. Fun and eye-opening, I'd say. Maybe more educational than fun. But it's a great game. I highly recommend it. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any strategy games you think we've missed off this list, please put them in the comment section down below so people are aware of them. And I'm aware of them, so I can give them a go and see if I'd add them to the list. Thank you for your time. Good night.